Oh, I'm so honored to be here tonight to help celebrate the hard work and the great accomplishments so far of our Genesys Works interns in their journey of breaking through. You know, Genesys Works, together with all the organizations that support this worthy organization, are truly changing the world. And changing the world in the only way that really matters and really makes a difference, by working with individual people, changing individual lives to help unlock and develop the potential of these young men and women. I'm inspired by the work and the accomplishments of these interns, and I'm even more inspired when I think about what it took for them to get here, to this point. And I'd like to ask you all to put yourselves in the shoes of these fine young men and women and try to remember what it was like to be high school seniors, staring at that big world out there and dealing with so many first-time challenges. Many of these interns are the first ever in their families to go to college. Many of them are from families with very few financial resources. They may not have a lot of role models to guide them in the breaking through. They're all dealing with a lot of new experiences for the first time, and we know that can be very scary. They're all different from the crowd. They want more. They want to use their potential. They want to break through, and they're willing to work hard to do it, and they will do it. I have a very simple message tonight. I have a very strong conviction that there are no limits to what people can accomplish. Our potential is virtually limitless. And our journey through life offers countless opportunities to break through to greater success, contribution, and fulfillment. In my experience, 3 traits have played a major role in my own breakthrough story. First, self-confidence, or the ability to believe you can do something. That's what that means to me. You know, we're not born with self-confidence. We build it over time. And I'm not talking about blind self-confidence, but the self-confidence that comes from doing hard work to make accomplishments and being courageously open to growth opportunities throughout your life. The second trait is imagination, which to me means the source of all creativity and inspiration. And the third trait for me is humility, which is almost always coupled with a strong desire to put others' needs ahead of your own. And I'd like to talk about these 3 traits, but really talk about them by speaking to 3 real concerns that these interns have either shared with me or I've heard indirectly from them about. And I'd like to share some personal stories of how I dealt with and learned from these very same concerns. I was asked to share some personal things about myself, so you're going to hear a few things that perhaps some of my teammates sitting here have never heard either at TPC, so I'm probably in trouble now. But, you know, one of the concerns that the interns have at times is that they doubt themselves and their ability to meet the challenges ahead. You know, publicly, we're all pictures of confidence, right? But privately, they sometimes ask themselves, can I really do this? And this is normal and human for all of us. I still experience this. You know, am I good enough to meet this or that challenge? And when I've had those doubts, I often recall a memory which I'd like to share with you. I remember I was about 16 years old. I sat in a seat in an auditorium, and I was recognized at that time for earning the rank of Eagle Scout. Now, this was a significant accomplishment for me. It was a lot of hard work, discipline, commitment. And I remember that evening like it was yesterday. The speaker was my scoutmaster, Brent Kaplan, and he and the audience knew me pretty well. And his words and that experience have stayed with me all these years, the experience of that evening. He said, Mike, you know, you've done the work. You've achieved this very significant accomplishment. You've already shown that there's no limit to what you can accomplish if you put your mind to it and do the work. And we believe in you. He said, as you move forward in life, whenever you doubt yourself, remember this moment, this evening, when so many people affirm their belief in you and believe in yourself. Remember this moment, he said. So to the interns, whenever you doubt, and we all do, whenever you feel the slightest bit down or feel tempted to take an easier path, remember this night. The words you hear, how you feel right now, surrounded by people who believe in you, who care about you, who want to see you succeed. You've done a lot of work. You've made that commitment. You've already shown you have what it takes to break through. There's no limit to what you can accomplish. Believe in yourself and remember this moment. In my talks with some of our interns, I learned that a big concern is how they're going to pay for college. First year is okay, maybe, but after that, a real challenge. You know, I understand this concern. and I know what you're feeling. What you may not fully believe yet is that you'll figure this out, and I'm certain of that. I had to face this challenge also. During my high school years, I had a number of jobs. I worked cutting grass, although I had terrible allergies to grass. I don't know how I did that. I delivered papers, and this was long before the days of the iPad. There aren't too many paper delivery jobs anymore. And I scooped ice cream, which actually was a great place to meet girls, so that was my favorite. So I had some money saved. And I thought my parents would pay for my college and that this could be my spending money. But boy, was I in for a surprise. For my 18th birthday, my dad gave me a gift as I prepared for college, an old wallet. Now, I thought it would have something inside, like a nice big check, okay? When I opened it, I found this, $1. That was the extent of his financial support for my college education. Son, he said, you're going to learn to be confident in your abilities to accomplish anything you want. You'll figure out how to pay for your college education. Now, you can imagine I didn't exactly appreciate that at that time very much. But my dad, who earned his self-confidence through success as an athlete, he's a former Golden Glove boxer, and a businessman, he was giving me an opportunity to develop my self-confidence. So fortunately, I had some savings, right? You know about my jobs. I did some work in school, but I didn't budget or plan very well. Lesson number 1, make a plan. And well, I ran out of money just before the end of my first year. So I had to use my imagination and get creative. I developed a plan. I took 6 months off from school. I worked 2 full-time jobs. Yes, 2 full-time jobs. 1 telemarketing. Yes, I was one of those that used to call the houses. And I worked on an assembly line making cash registers. That was in the day when we still had, mechanical cash registers. I didn't sleep much, I can tell you that, but I did save a lot. And I returned to school determined not to run out of money again and to complete my 4-year education. I made a budget, saw that I still didn't have the right cushion, so again I used my imagination and creativity and figured out how to start a part-time business at college. And with that, I made it through. I know this worry you have, and I know that you'll find a way through it. There is always a way. Just remember to believe in yourself and what you're capable of doing. Get creative, and you'll be able to do it. Now, I'm told that many of you feeling some pressure about making a decision about what you want to study in college and then do for your career for the rest of your life. Look, this is a tough one. I mean, how can we possibly know, how do we know what our professional career will be for the rest of our life? In short, we can't. We can't know that. We really have to go with our gut choice and have the confidence to keep ourselves open to growth opportunities along the way. So don't feel too much pressure to make the right choice for once and for all. You'll discover what is right for you over time. Let me tell you my story. I wanted to be an engineer and a business person. My dad went this route. He encouraged me to do it. Of course, he didn't pay for it, but he did encourage me to do it. And, so I said, okay, I'm going to go that route. And that's what I would tell anybody that asked me at that time. But in the very deep recesses of my mind, I also wanted to lead a life of service, helping others and making the world a little bit better place. I thought that a good way to do this might be to become a Catholic priest, a Jesuit to be specific. Now, unfortunately, these 2 directions are about as different as you can get. I couldn't find a double major in the Penn State curriculum that would handle both, so I had to pick one. I picked engineering, the more conventional path. I studied chemical engineering at college. You heard about my calamities there, but I got my degree, started working, and saw a lot of success early on in my career. However, remember that thought I mentioned in the back of my head? It just grew a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more. And I knew that I couldn't continue to ignore it. I had to follow it and see where it led. And so I did. I mustered up all the self-confidence that I could gather. I opened myself up to this really super growth opportunity. I resigned from my company, that was DuPont. My bosses still remember that day. and I was accepted into the Jesuit Order of the Catholic Church. And there began an absolutely transformational growth opportunity for me for the next 8 years. It's a life of service. It taught me humility, deep insight, and gave me an opportunity to make the world a little bit better place. I touched many lives, worked with orphan kids in El Salvador, small business owners in Ecuador, policy analysts in Washington, and high school students in New Orleans. I learned so much about people, about leadership, and about purpose. And eventually, it became clear to me that I had learned and grown enough to where I could now understand how I, for my life, could put together a successful business career and a life of service. And at that point, it was time for me to re-enter into the business world and become what I am today. You know, for me, that took a lot of self-confidence, and in particular, an openness and a little bit of courage to face the choices and changes in my life. But I grew tremendously through it all. Years later, now looking back, I saw that these experiences made me a better leader, and when I eventually met and married my wife, Anna, it also made me a better husband and a better father. So yes, you have to make some initial choices on your career, and these choices may ultimately be the ones that you follow for the rest of your life, or they may not be. In either case, be confident that if you are open and a bit courageous, you'll find the path that is right for you. You'll grow along the way, and you'll accomplish many things. You can do it. In these short personal stories, I mentioned that I learned to use my imagination to solve some problems and develop humility and a sense and desire to help others that actually helped me to become a better leader. You know, imagination for me is the source of all creativity, innovation, and even inspiration. You know, all accomplishments, big and small, start with imagination. They start with creating a vision of how something could be different, could be better, big or small, and then figuring out how to creatively bring that vision into reality. The world needs more imagination. Companies need more imagination. The pressing problems of the world that we see every day need more imagination. I've found that the willingness and ability to use imagination is one of the most successful factors that one can have. Today, as a CEO, I, together with my management team, use inspiration and imagination to help create a vision for TPC. And I and the rest of the management team at TPC try to ignite the imaginations of our colleagues, our employees, to innovate and to accomplish great things. You as interns have already shown that you have imagination. You've overcome many challenges. You've created a vision for yourself of what you can become, and you've worked and started working toward that vision. So develop your gift of imagination. Learn to see what others can't or won't see, and use it whenever you can. You can do it. Finally, if you want to make a difference in this world, if you want to impact the lives of others in a positive way, if you want people to follow you, then you need to develop humility and an attitude of service to others. I often think about the people that have made a difference in my life, who believed in me, who supported me, who challenged me, and I realize how thankful I am for having them in my life. And that thankfulness is the spirit of humility. I think about the people that I admire most, and I realize that what I admire most about them is their humility. During my years as a Jesuit, I learned that a humble life of service to others is the highest calling, and that a life of service can be integrated into anything we choose to do in our careers, in our families, and in our communities. Helping others gives me far more satisfaction than anything I've ever done for myself. And you as interns already believe this. You're developing humility when you appreciate the people and the organizations who have made a difference in your life. Maybe your parents, maybe an uncle, maybe a teacher. Genesys works. You help others when you set a good example for your brothers, sisters, friends, classmates. A number of you have shared with me how important this is to you, that you set a good example for others in your family. So let your lives be an example that will inspire others. Lead a life of service as part of whatever you do. You'll be better for it, and so will the world. And I'd like to close by saying that throughout my life, I've seen so many ordinary people, like myself, from ordinary backgrounds like mine, accomplish many, many things. There are no limits that can't be overcome. Believe in yourself and be open to personal growth wherever it leads you. You can do it, and you'll grow through it. Engage your imagination to see what others can't or won't see. Make a difference for the good in the lives of people. Breaking through begins with a choice, a commitment, and requires a lot of hard work. It requires you to believe in yourself, to use your imagination, and to make a difference in the lives of others. You've made that choice, and all of us here celebrate with you your hard work and your accomplishments. We stand with you, we believe in you, and we support you. And the rest is up to you, and we know you can do it. Thank you very much.